I don't wanna say anything, cause if I do I might say the wrong words. Oh no. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes home and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can't we find a single reason not to say goodbye? Oh, if I said what's on my mind, would you stay with me?
This is Rob Van Dam, and you're watching Cold TV. Bam.
Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pro Wrestling 60, where we recap everything that happened this past week in the world of professional wrestling. I'm Xlj the Og, joined by my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, this week hailing from the United Kingdom, Mr. B-Roll. How are things over there in the UK, by the way?
They are swell.
Did you enjoy Raw?
I did. I've got to say, what a bloody mess indeed. Wait, no, we're not time traveling. Not time traveling at all.
Fish and chips.
The fish and chips aren't what they cracked up. What they cracked up to be.
There you go. Damn right, that.
Ha ha, cheerio. Good day, Governor,
and you've met your quota of terrible European accents.
Salute to you, bruv.
There, I was waiting for the bruv. Well, we are live here tonight on Cold TV. Of course, a lot of this due to Mother Nature, because last night we had some terrible storms. And, of course, we'll just go ahead and preface it with this. Yes, we know this week's Raw has already happened, but we haven't watched it yet, so please try not to spoil it for us, because when we get done with this, we're going to be watching Raw. So it's like cool to see it come on early, but man, when you're working and stuff, it kind of sucks. So
yeah.
Nonetheless, we are going to take a look back at everything that happened this past week in the world of pro wrestling. It was another busy week. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to. So as always, Mr. B-Roll, I'll let you hit us with that sweet line, and we'll get started.
Yes, indeed. This is PW60. He is XLJ. I am Mr. B-Roll, and we are live and in living color. But we are not the culture.
Look in my eyes.
Yeah. But we'll probably talk about him, though. We probably will talk about him. And I say that the clock starts now.
Well, speak of the devil, he's our top story this week. It is official, folks. CM Punk will main event his first WrestleMania, finally. Finally, he will get the right to close the show, as it was made official this past Friday night on SmackDown that CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins will main event night one of WrestleMania. Mr. B-Roll, let me ask you what your thoughts are on all this, because I think to kind of a newbie like yourself, even though you've been watching it for, the past 3 or whatever years it's been, not realizing like with Punk's first run, he never really got the chance to close the show at WrestleMania, which I know you look at the stature of CM Punk and how he's just so mixed into the ideology, not only of the world of pro wrestling but WWE as well. Is it a little surprising to you, and I say this as a newbie, that CM Punk, after all his times, finally getting a main event?
Yeah, I would say it's a little surprising. I mean, first thoughts of this picture here. Um, just looking at Paul Heyman, like almost looking like a proud papa,
Mm-hmm.
just just genuinely happy for him. I think the real life emotion taking over there. Um, but I don't know. Like I feel like you could for your average Joe wrestling fan. I feel like you could win a lot of bar bets with saying like, has CM Punk ever main evented a WrestleMania? I feel like most people who had just like a base knowledge of wrestling would say, yeah, he's main evented WrestleMania. But
And the thing
yeah,
is, it's
it's
his definition of main event is closing the show, which is the typical traditional the main.
right.
You can argue people, oh, the top attraction, one of the top matches, one of the main event matches, or whatever. But there's only one match that closes the show,
It's true.
at least each night. And looks like night one, it is in fact going to be Punk, Roman, and Seth. I find it ironic too, like in this, there's so much in this triple threat, which this is a very intriguing triple threat. Um, dare I say, probably one of the most intriguing triple threat matches in a long time that they've done at WrestleMania. Especially the fact that there's not really a title on the line here. This is all about, bragging rights, so to speak. But I just find it fascinating. You look at Punk, and then you look at a guy like Roman, and this is like what Roman I think is tying the record of most WrestleMania main events with this one.
Yeah, and
It's just so fascinating to me.
think how many Romans done it in a row too.
Oh yeah,
Think,
yeah,
yeah,
um, yeah. And I mean, he's gonna shatter the record pretty much. I mean, because I mean, every year that Roman is working, he's going to be in the main event, whether it's night one, night two, whether it's for a title, not a title, whatever, because he's Roman Reigns, he's the OTC. And I love like this segment was just so good with Punk's emotions, with Seth, just being so pissed off that Punk was like getting this moment of clarity. And then with Roman's just nonchalant reaction, just like, oh, what the fuck, bro? I've been doing this for like the last 10 or whatever. Um, it's gonna make a really interesting matchup. Um, it's also interesting to look at the history of these three too, and especially how Punk, was kind of the anchor really of the Shield coming to the main roster. So it's just everything coming full circle. It is definitely worthy of a WrestleMania main event, in my opinion. So congratulations to Punk. I'm excited to see it, and I think it's going to be a hell of a way to close the show on night one this year at WrestleMania. But let's talk about the rest of Friday Night SmackDown from this past week. And I want to talk about this segment here with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. Because there is some seeds being planted here, folks. As Randy Orton says, after he's pretty much done destroying Kevin Owens, that he
kicking his head off to be exact.
that the Viper wants a shot at the WWE champion, which could be Cody Rhodes after WrestleMania. And the interesting thing is, where is the next WWE premium live event at, B-roll? It's in St. Louis. It's at Backlash. So obviously,
Ooh.
it seems like Randy will be challenging for that championship, whether it's Cody, whether it's John, which each matchup itself is going to be compelling, regardless of what that ends up being. But I am so excited and here for the Viper. Drew McIntyre got a big win, but man, oh man, poor Drew, he got taken out by Priest. Have you seen him? He's going around sporting an eye patch. Um, there, I believe this week it's probably going to likely get announced. It looks like we're probably getting not only just Priest and Drew at WrestleMania, but could potentially be a street fight or a no DQ match or something of that nature. So that just ups the ante at the Showcase of Immortals. That is going to be awesome, man. Cannot wait to see. Street Profits had their hands full in their first title defense against Pretty Deadly, the hometown. Yes, boys. Of course, they did come up short with the Street Profits retaining. It was really cool to see Piper Niven and Alba Fire in action together. Um, I just love that they're they're the Secret Service like they're wearing like that's their gear now. It's like I'm so behind that with everything they're doing with Chelsea Green. So it's so fucking good, dude. LA Knight successfully retained his United States Championship against Braun Strowman. Of course, well, that due to the Samoan Werewolf Jake Fatu. We also got to see Charlotte in action against Meech, and also too, what about that little stare down there with Charlotte and Jade? That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So perhaps future foreshadowing we will see soon enough. But overall, SmackDown on Friday night, man, it was great. It was awesome as we are on the road to WrestleMania. But one of the other big stories coming out of Friday night SmackDown, folks, it's official. Ray Phoenix is the mystery man that's been building up over the past couple of weeks in these vignettes, and he will make his debut this Friday on SmackDown. Dude, this is gonna be fucking awesome. Like, how excited are you to see Ray Phoenix on Friday nights?
I mean, I think it's interesting for sure because you got Penta over on Raw, you'll have Phoenix over on SmackDown. Obviously, we know them as a tag team, but both are great singles competitors. Um, I am I am excited to see him, the master of the ropes,
Mm-hmm.
at it again.
And I just wonder how long it's going to be before he's reunited with his brother.
Yeah, I mean, definitely future tag champs there
Oh,
at some
no doubt
point.
about it. No
But
doubt about it.
well, if you think about it this way too, how like quietly like the SmackDown tag divisions kind of like became loaded
Oh
with
yeah.
like all these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Man, th- just think of it them versus Motor City, them versus DIY, them versus the Street Profits, and just man,
It's
like
endless
yeah,
possibilities, my friend, and cannot wait to see it.
it's
Um,
like my wet dream kind of. I love tag team wrestling.
you do love tag teaming it. That's for sure. I know you love a good tag team. You love a good double team. Anyways, let's talk about this. The John Cena farewell tour continued this past week, and it looks like John Cena, his mission is to ruin wrestling.
Can I start a petition that we need to John Cena needs to rename his farewell tour to the John Cena's "Fuck You" tour. That's what it needs to be named.
I'm kind of for it. Yeah. Um, man, it's this is just week after week. This is getting more and more interesting to me. And I'm excited to see what happened on Raw. And yes, I know it's already happened, but I've seen tidbits here and there. But I'm excited to see what that is going to be. Can't wait to talk about next week here on BW60. But this was very interesting. What I love about it is it's still like Cena continuing his rant, and his Cena's going into WrestleMania. This title match. It's not about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is just the guy in the place at the wrong time that John Cena would consider, I'd say. And what I mean by that is just like, okay, you're just another guy. I've seen them all, and it's just interesting how he hasn't really like up, addressed Cody face to face. Now, granted, I'm sure that's probably already happened, but shut your damn mouths because we're going to be watching it soon. This shit's so hard to do with this European stuff, brother. Anyways, what did you think of Cena's promo from this past Monday night on Raw?
I mean, what he broke up with us.
Yep.
Now he's gonna ruin wrestling
Mm-hmm.
for all of us.
Yep. What could
I
this
mean,
man do that possibly that Vince Russo hasn't already done, though? I mean, come on, really, Cena? You got some you got some big shoes to fill. I don't know if that claim's gonna come to you're gonna ruin wrestling, but I get what you're saying. But I just love how he's just like this is what it's all about. I'm just hell bent on ruining things because it's like fuck it. That's why. What's the reason? Why are you doing this, John? Because fuck you. It's like y'all have been abusing me and, just living off of me for the past 20 plus years. And now, we've said it before. It's his time, right? That's literally what this tour is about. It's about his time and nobody else's and not ours. So, once again, excited to see what the next chapter holds. And two, I believe after the UK, after the show today, I think Cena is done until Wrestle. I don't think he's making any more Raw appearances, and I think the next time we see him is in Vegas for WrestleMania.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be interesting to see what the next couple of weeks happen. But nonetheless, John Cena is a man on a mission, and he is going to try to ruin the world of pro wrestling. Now, let's talk about the rest of Monday Night Raw from this past Monday. Was revealed that the mystery partner was, in fact, one Jimmy Uso. No surprise there. The Usos were reunited as they went up against A-Town Down Under. Deep downside, I was really hoping for a damn Joe Hendry, but that's okay. It's fine. Someday it's going to happen.
I wore the shirt just like in honor of it. Like,
yeah, didn't quite happen.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bummed when Jimmy came out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's
because like I had worked it up in my head. I was convinced that it was gonna be the crowd was gonna go from yeeting to say his name and he appears. I think they thought about it. Yes, I know, Shadow, you were disappointed too. I think they thought about it, and then they were worried that like the roof may blow off the building, and so they backpedaled.
Yes, maybe, I don't know. Had a tremendous main event this past week too, with Braun Breaker defending the Intercontinental title against Penta. Of course, Judgment Day getting involved. And you had two great Intercontinental title matches, too, with Lia Valkyria retaining against, that's right, Shadow, retaining against Raquel Rodriguez. And also, El Grande El Luchador was in action as well.
El Grande Americano?
Oh, Grande El, yeah, something like that. Hailing from the Gulf of America. Jesus Christ. But nonetheless, both Raw and SmackDown were exciting shows from this past week as we are on the road to WrestleMania. Well, my friend, it's that time of the show. Let's go to our good friend Dad Hat for Dad Hat's Tip of the Week here on BW60.
It's that time of the week again. Dad Hat's Life Lessons of the Week. Brought to you by World Championship Wreckage. Find them on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. And also by the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. every Wednesday, twitch.tv/Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. And now, here's Dad Hat.
All right, kids, always remember, in anything in life, from academia to your workplace to, forms of entertainment, movies, sports, everywhere, the greats are always scrutinized and overanalyzed, but with perseverance and time, their recognition is shown.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, you can't be counted out. You cannot be disqualified. You've got to quit to end the match.
That match was just so iconic right from the moment it happened.
Austin never gave up.
Such a beautiful story. Without Bret, I don't think you got Stone Cold.
Oh, yes, folks. It is happening. Finally, this year it's announced at this Hall of Fame, it is beginning the tradition to where a match will finally be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. This is long overdue. And just how apropos is it the fact that the first inductee ever is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart from WrestleMania 13. This match is so iconic. I mean, it's literally changed the landscape of pro wrestling. Like with this match just gave you everything and just kept giving and giving and giving. So, congratulations to Stone Cold and Bret Hart. And congratulations to Bret Hart because guess what, folks? He is the first ever, not one, not two, but 3-time WWE Hall of Famer. And that's why he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I'm just saying. Can you name me another 3-time Hall of Famer? No, you can't. That's right. Anyways.
I don't think you can.
Nope.
But this is super cool. I
Yeah.
am excited for this. Great match. Be the first one, and just it makes you even excited for the ones going forward. Because
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah.
Long overdue. So excited for this. And speaking of going into the Hall of Fame, it is official, folks. The natural disasters have been named to the 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. Of course, earthquake and typhoon. This is awesome, man. Always a big fan of these guys. Both their individual work as well as the tag team. Earthquake is one of those guys. I think was always an underrated big man, very agile for his size. Typhoon, such a talented performer as well. So this is awesome. I think this is well overdue for both these guys. And I'm so happy that they're joining this loaded 2025 WWE Hall of Fame. It is a loaded class this year, folks. And so excited to see the Hall of Fame this year. Cannot wait. But, of course, Hall of Fame tied into WrestleMania weekend. And let's talk about the Showcase of Immortals with some updates on some of the card. Once again, we do know Randy Orton, Kevin Owens will meet one-on-one. As we mentioned earlier, your main event for night one is Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. The World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line with Jey Uso challenging Gunther. Of course, depending on what happened on Raw, we'll see what happens there with the Women's Championship, but we know it will be defended in some capacity. And also, Tiffany Stratton to defend her championship against one Charlotte Flair. And, of course, the big one, folks, John Cena challenging Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. We are getting closer and closer to WrestleMania, and I got to tell you, B-Roll, I am so excited. I'm so hyped for WrestleMania because it is going to be such an awesome show, man. The weekend itself, though, it's taken on like something. It's just out of this world. It's the best way I can describe it. I mean, I'm so excited to be heading to Vegas. I mean, just to be there for the collective. But the thing I'm excited the most about, honestly, is getting to meet with some people, with some friends. And I mean, that's the coolest thing, I think, about pro wrestling is just the people that you meet. And that being said, our good friend, the Best Scout Machine, this past week lost a really good friend of his. And it's one of those things where it just goes to show you, we say it all the time, life's too short. You just never know. But here with like a tribute to his friend, Anthony, let's go to the Best Scout Machine with this very special report.
Beat Up City, it is I, the BGM. Going to be a little different this week. Even though I'm still doing silly. You should take a moment to acknowledge a friend of mine named Anthony Garcia, friend and co-worker who passed away this last week. I was spoiled as a person having him in my life because I know there's a lot of wrestling fans out there who they don't have any wrestling friends to talk to. Like, they're at work most of their life and they don't get to talk to wrestling buddies. And I had a wrestling buddy at work. Like, every week when something happened, I would wait for him to come through the doors at work and be like, did you hear what happened on blah, blah, blah? Are you going to buy the pay-per-view? Are you going to be at blah, blah, blah? Like, whatever happened, like, we would be there to be like, oh, what's up? Or if there's nothing going on, we'd walk up to each other and be like, hey, too sweet. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have that anymore. Like, this last week, you had Blake Christian go up against Kenny Omega. And I had to remind myself that, I can't run up to him and be like, hey, man, what do you think of Blake Christian? Because he watched WWE and he watched AEW. He watched a little bit of Impact, but he didn't really watch the indies or the other guys. And it was really fun whenever an indie wrestler made a debut on, NXT, or if they popped up on AEW, because I'd be the guy you'd run to, be like, what you like? How's he, oh, cool, yeah. And he was the furthest from a tribalist at all. It was funny because he was on Twitter, X, and he completely ignored all that drama. He just wanted to have fun. He just wanted to watch wrestling and escape from reality, because that guy was a hard worker, and I'm sure he was super stressed at work, and that was his escape. That in sports, if you go on his Twitter, Instagram, all he talked about was Kobe Bryant. He did a tribute to Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt on a near daily basis. And I know right now, when he popped up at those gates, it was probably Kobe, Brody Lee, and Bray Wyatt waiting for him there. It's going to be weird, because the world's going to be quite smaller without him. He was the nicest. Like, I know people who have passed away, and people go, he was the nicest. And I'm like, bullshit. You hated him. You hated his guts. I hated his guts. Anthony, on the other hand, he affected every single person at the store I work at. He affected everyone. Everyone loved him. This was like Robin Williams. He was the Robin Williams of coworkers. And the fact that I'm not shooting out tears right now is saying a lot, because he was just such a great guy. He made everything better. Like, nothing negative. No, not a single red flag in this person. But God bless you, Anthony Garcia. Thank you for being such an awesome friend and coworker, and I will miss you, and hopefully I can, find a good replacement for you at work. Maybe force one of the other guys to start getting into wrestling. Those are some big shoes to fill. Next week we'll go back to saying funny stuff. Isn't that right? Yes, absolutely. Next week we'll go back to being ridiculous and zany, but for today we're going to be a little mournful, not as sexy. There we go. Anthony would have loved this video, including this ending. Get a little bit more of my chest in there. He would have loved this, I assure you.
Oh, thank you so much, Best Scout. We appreciate you, brother, and appreciate you sharing with us. Like we say, time in, time out, Life's too short. Tomorrow's not necessarily guaranteed, folks. So hold on to those, hug those ones that you love, and it's cool. Anthony sounded like an amazing guy. It's awesome that Best Scout had a chance to, develop that friendship. And the cool thing is that it developed over the world of pro wrestling. So that's what all bonds us. You can talk about tribalism and all this other bullshit. This company's better. Just enjoy wrestling. Enjoy the friendships that you build upon them, because that's the most important thing. Well, let's talk about Dynamite from this past Wednesday, as we are closer and closer to Dynasty, which is hard to believe Dynasty's this Sunday. Of course, kicked off with Kenny Omega in action against Cousin Blake Christian, making his Dynamite debut. Kenny, of course, picking up the win as he's heading into that big triple threat match coming up at Dynasty. Kyle Fletcher was in action against Brody King. Ted Hobbs was in action against one of the juiciest asses in all of wrestling, Mark Davis. I'm sorry, I said what I said. Of course, this tension continuing on with Rated FTR. Does look like they'll be challenging for the Trios Championships, but I don't know. Also, man, Swerve being Swerve had a hell of a segment there against Jon Moxley as they're building to their big championship encounter at Dynasty. Takeshita was in action as well against Mark Briscoe. And what I love the most in the main event, it was Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford against Thunder Tits. Yes, I need a Thunder Tits shirt. There is nothing that Toni Storm cannot do. Like, she's the most talented wrestler going today out of anybody. She has more talent in her pinky than most have in their entire body. Like, Toni Storm, my God, she's a national treasure. Thunder Tits, I need that on a shirt. Like, what'd you think of the main event with Thunder Tits in action? What do you think of Thunder Tits in general, my friend? Do you like Thunder Tits? Are you a fan of Thunder Tits?
I love Thunder Tits.
Good.
But like I feel like what she's been able to do with this character, it's just so I like. There's several things I love about this. Thunder Tits, yes, that's obviously one.
Love Thunder Tits.
Um, I love the spot that they've put Megan Bain in.
Yes.
That's another person that I'm like a really
She's
big
a
fan of.
monster. Yeah.
And like they've done a really good job of booking her. Like so like let's not like let's let's keep this going. Let's not screw this up.
Yeah.
Let's not create a Deanna Praza situation. I said what I said.
Yep. She's enjoying catering right
But
now. But you know what? I enjoy Thunder Tits.
yes, Thunder Tits.
Like me some Thunder Tits. Or Thunder Titties, whatever you want to call them. I think Thunder Tits works better. I don't think you can say titties. The titties is like too much. So, well, we weren't going to talk about it, but if you had a really close eye on things on Dynamite, there was somebody that looked a little familiar. You know, I'm not going to spoil. Let's just go to our Tribal Queen Brie with her Tribal Queen tidbit of the week, and she's got something to say about AEW. Oh boy.
Well, hey, hi, hello, guys. It is your Tribal Queen Brie with your Tribal Queen tidbit of the week.
Mama!
What? What's up?
There's a big return!
Wait, there's a big return! Who?
Von Wagner!
Von Wagner!
Well, it's Tribal Queen. I'm back. That was some of the worst news I could have ever heard. And I will officially no longer be watching AEW, Ring of Honor, anything that man is associated with, because he finally decided to come out of his cave and do something. But I'm so disappointed and sad. I'm gonna go cry now. But that was your Tribal Queen Brie with your Tribal Queen tidbit of the week.
Oh, don't cry, Brie. It's going to be okay. Yes, Von Wagner making his debut as a security guard. Alapa Pro. Of course, he did compete on Ring of Honor, but who watches Ring of Honor? I said what I said. Let's talk about Collision from this past Saturday night. Of course, kicked off with our timeless one, Tony Storm. Talking about the women's division too. I want to point this out over the past couple weeks. I think it's really cool. Have you noticed how the main events have been women's matches on Collision and Dynamite? I think that's pretty rad. That's a direction we need to go and continue going. Had a great main event with Jamie Hayter going up against Billy Starks, which is awesome. Billy filling in for Queen Aminata. So, and also too, I believe she officially announced for the Owen Hart tournament as well. We got to see Cousin Blake was in action on Collision too, going up against Hologram. Of course, unfortunately, did not get the win. Wheeler Yuta, everybody's favorite emo, went up against Dax Harwood. And once again, this continuing like Dax is, I don't know, there's something going on up here at Dax. He's a little pissed off. So I don't know, we'll have to see what happens there. Of course, Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole came face to face against each other. Got to see Jay White against Kevin Knight. Of course, Kevin Knight is the newest All Elite member as well. So congratulations to Kevin Knight. And of course, Mercedes Moné was in action. She declared for the Owen Hart tournament. I'm telling you what, dude, of the names we're hearing drop so far on the men's and women's side, this Owen Hart tournament is going to be pretty epic. And remember, the winners of each one of these tournaments does get a shot for the men's and women's championship at the biggest show of the year for AEW, All In, which will be taking place in Texas this upcoming July. Huh? Did you say bullshit?
I said, no, I said, well, shit.
Oh, yes, because that's a foregone conclusion that Mercedes is winning it. yeah, probably.
Well, I mean, like, I already feel like Athena and Mercedes are the final. So,
yeah, or there's also thoughts of that they could potentially be meeting at Dynasty too, which is not set in stone. But what is set in stone is these matches. So let's talk about Dynasty. Of course, your main event is going to be Swerve Strickland challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. Remember, a year ago, it was the same show, Dynasty, where Swerve won his first AEW Championship. Can he do it again? I sure hope so. This incredible triple threat match for the AEW International Championship is going to be taking place with Kenny Omega defending against Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Ricochet. That will be amazing. Also, it was just announced on Collision. The TNT title will be on the line with Daniel Garcia defending against Adam Cole. And remember, everybody's banned from ringside, and there is no time limit on this matchup per the stipulation. And of course, timeless Toni Storm putting her women's championship up against Megan Bayne. And the trios titles will be on the line with the Death Riders defending against Rated FTR. And we're going to have some more matches announced probably later this week. But it's hard to believe Dynasty is literally right around the corner, my friend. I mean, it's WrestleMania season, but Dynasty's going to be coming before that. So, and this is the thing. What does AEW always do with their pay-per-views? They knock them out of the fucking park. So, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing show. It's already looking like an amazing show so far. Well, this came out this week. A little surprising to some. Saraya is officially finished up with All Elite Wrestling. So, she is done with AEW. Do you think this means she's retired, or is she gonna go one last run in the WWE?
So I feel like this was her last. I want to say full time, but let's be real. With what we got of her, it wasn't really like a full time run. But I'm gonna say, like, I don't feel like she goes on like a full time run. Like, maybe I think she takes a break for a while for sure, because she has said that she wants to focus on other things, like that she's doing other projects she's working on. But I will say, I think I will say, I think and I hope that we see her in at least another match in the WWE.
I think you're going to see her in the WWE. I don't know whether that's full time or not, but I think you do see her. I hope it's going to be in a more, more of a full time capacity. And I think she deserves it. She deserves one last run there. I mean, that's where her career began, so I think it's very apropos if that's where it ends. But she's had a hell of a run. The AEW run, you can argue about it till you're blue in the face, but nonetheless, Saraya is officially no longer All Elite. But you know who else could potentially no longer be All Elite? That is one Mariah May, as it looks like officially her contract is up this summer. If I was AEW, I would be coming up with like 4 or 5 different stories for her, and I would be bending over backwards to give her everything she wants because, I mean, she is a huge part of the women's division as far as I'm concerned.
I would be handing her a blank check and be like, listen, you are the future of the women's division. You're going to be a huge part of the future of the women's division. Like,
Like what that is, I don't know exactly, but y'all need to figure it out and figure it out quick because
you were a part of like the biggest story, women's story in AEW.
You're right to a certain extent. You were saying it. It is the biggest storyline, the best storyline AEW has done to this date. I don't think, in my opinion, there's no doubts about it. The Mariah May Toni Storm rivalry, that story is going to be the best rivalry, the best feud that AEW has done to date. And you would be foolish if you don't have any plans for her or have anything, like sign her. Like you can build your division around her. Mariah May is one of those talents. So I'm just saying, don't let this shit slip by because if you do, you are going to regret it hugely. I mean, she's so young. She's so in the beginning of her career. Absolutely. She comes across as a seasoned veteran because when you think about it, in reality, she is with all the time she worked in Japan and stuff. But yeah, Mariah May, you guys better do everything you can to re-sign her. But you did do one cool thing, as in you signed her stablemate, her bestie, her friend, Mina Shirakawa. It is official. She is All Elite. So she will be finishing up with Stardom, coming here to the States. and will be in AEW. I'm telling you, man, if you re-sign Mariah, you have Mina there. There's so much stuff you can do with them. I mean, you can even finally bite that bullet and do a women's tag title, maybe. That could be the next step. I don't know, but I'm telling you, there is so much that Mina. To me, the first time I saw her, it reminded me a lot of times the first time I saw Shinsuke Nakamura in Japan, and I didn't know a lot about him, but you could just tell, like, just with their facial expressions, their body language, just everything about them. It's like they are able to communicate and get over with an American audience. And Mina is gonna fucking knock it out of the park. I mean, she already has done so far. Now she's gonna be full time with AEW, a future AEW Women's Champion, as far as I'm concerned. So happy that Mina Shirkara is coming to America, and she is all elite. Let's talk about Swerve Strickland. He did a podcast or an interview earlier this past week, and it's very interesting, some of the things he said, because he pretty much says, you got me for about 5 more years, and then after that, Swerve potentially retiring. You know what? I respect him. He's calling his shot. Here's the thing. He's such a talented dude, and he's got so many other different fires cooking, when he does decide to leave the world of pro wrestling, with all that he's already accomplished, and he's going to accomplish so much more in that time frame, in my opinion. I mean, he's going to go down as like one of the all-time greats, whether you love the man or hate the man. But he's such a talented dude, between his music and podcasting and like everything else. There's nothing this man cannot do. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all goes down in the next 5 years with his career. Does he go back to the WWE at some point? I don't think he does, especially after some stuff that he said this past week. But also, too, that's the thing, folks. That's not the be-all, end-all. You don't have to go and work at the WWE. Like, that's not how your story has to end for you to be like one of the all-time greats in pro wrestling. And I think Swerve is writing his own path. And there's not anything bad this man can do. Like, everything he touches turns to gold, as they say. So, Swerve, if we only got 5 more years with you, I can't wait to see what those 5 years are going to be. And it truly is a blessing. Well, it's that time in the show. Let's go to our good friend Sienna, who's got some advice for us pro wrestling fans over a pretty crazy incident that happened this past week on the European tour for WWE. So let's go to Sienna.
I know everybody and their mama saw the video that gone viral of this so-called wrestling fan who happens to be an OF model that was inappropriately grabbing/touching CM Punk and Cody Rhodes after their dark match when Monday Night Raw went off the air a couple days ago. And seriously, this is getting really out of control, especially the fact that the main golden rule in wrestling is you do not touch the wrestler at all time. And it's not just the wrestler, the referee, the broadcaster, other wrestling personality as well. So if you're at an independent wrestling show, and if you're one of those that decide to let me go ahead and touch the wrestler, grab the wrestler or anything, you're going to get confronted by them, and there's going to be consequences to pay, like shoving or a really worse moment that security and or ring crew will have to break them up, and you'll get barred for life. That is like a beyond embarrassment for something that is like really drawing the line. Everybody has been spoken about it. And seriously, we need to do better as a wrestling fan to know the boundaries of wrestlers, that they're just human beings like you and me. Like, for real though. But yeah, we live in a society where like the parasocial relationship has been gone 50-50. And it got to the point where like, it's making like the wrestlers and other talents like, very uncomfortable, especially like in a public, setting as well. Like, I already spoke out about like, we just got to do better of like, leave them alone when they're off the clock at all time. So seriously, wrestling fan, do better. We just got to respect them as one another. They're all human beings, okay?
Thank you so much, Sienna. We appreciate those smart and wise words. Like, seriously, who is fucking stupid enough to like jump like, not that they jumped a wrestler, but still they're like, come on, have some common fucking sense. Oh God. But anyways, well, thank you so much again, Sienna. Well, let's talk about NXT from this past Tuesday night. It was a big night. dude, the whole that Ricky Saints segment, that interview, dude, that was there was some cooking going on in that kitchen, folks. Like, what did you think of that with him and Ty Dillinger?
I mean, that's that. Yeah. I'm struggling for words here, but like,
Words are hard.
yeah, like, and I'm also having trouble not calling him Sean Spears, but like, I don't know, just like the perfect person to deliver, like just his character is like the perfect person to deliver that, like to like we both know you already burned every bridge there, like
Yeah.
just whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was something, all right. Of course, also we got to see Ethan Page was in action against Andre Chase. But of course Lexus King retained his North American Heritage Beano like Grand Prix Cup against Javon Evans. I'm sorry. I just, you know me, I've never been into that Heritage Cup. I'm sorry. It's just not for me. I get it, but I'm just saying. But the big news coming out of NXT is Stephanie Fakur successfully retained both her North American Women's and Women's Championship. Of course, she kicked off the show defending against Jada Parker, and then closed the show where she retained against Fallon Henley. Stephanie Fakur is the real deal. She looked amazing. She looked incredible. Of course, she is our Wrestler of the Week this week here on PW60. Is one Stephanie Fakur. It's going to be interesting to see how much longer she can keep that momentum and going as far as like successfully retaining both championships. You think she can do that on a weekly basis? You think she's going to be a double champ for a little while here? You think she's going to drop one of those belts here the next couple month or so?
Do you think she can go to Stand and Deliver and still have them both? Like
I think so. I mean, shit, because we're only 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's going to be a big NXT this week too. As there's no real official matches announced for that show, so I'm sure we're going to find out what's going to be happening there in Vegas at the T-Mobile Center. Well, let's talk about TNA Impact from this past week. Of course, speaking of NXT, a lot of NXT talent on the show. Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley did challenge for the Knockouts Championship or tag team titles, but was unsuccessful against Ash and Heather by Elegance. Also, we got to see a first-time matchup in TNA, which is a crazy thing because these guys have been there. Eric Young one-on-one with Ace Austin took place as well. Of course, Masha Slamovich successfully defended her Knockouts Championship against NXT's JC Jane. How awesome was it, though, to see Chavo Guerrero Jr. back in a ring as he teamed up with the Aztec Warriors to take on Kazarian in First Class? Was awesome. Absolutely loved it. Looked like Elijah was going to be the next challenger for Joe Hendry, but that remains to be seen. Who will challenge the Joe Hendry for the TNA Championship? And of course, Nick Nemeth in the main event went up against Leon Slater. Of course, Leon trying to defend the Hardy Boys since they're besties. And of course, came up short, but the Hardys did make an appearance, and they did challenge the Nemeth brothers to a future tag team championship match. So, but it is TNA. It's been fun. It's been cool. But man, you've done a lot of stupid shit. But this may take the cake of the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen this past week. They let Gail Kim go. What the actual fuck? Like, the Knockouts division was consistently one of the best divisions, and a lot of that had to do with Gail Kim running it. Like, tell me, here's the thing. Tell me that you're not trying to sell the company in the year without telling me you're not going to sell the company in a year. I mean, it's plain as day. They're gonna sell this to WWE. By this time, mark my words, B-roll, by this time next year, when we're talking about TNA, we're talking about it as another product of the WWE. I mean, that's the way this is going. Anthem don't give a shit. Like, this is like, why? Like, what the fuck? Like, Gail Kim is one of the most talented. Like, somebody should pick her up instantly and have her, like, as a producer or something. My God, could you imagine if AEW brought her in to work to book the women's division? Holy shit. Like, you would be talking about AEW having one of the best women's division in all of wrestling. I don't know. It just pisses me off to no end. Like, the Scott D'Amore thing was one thing.
It just don't make no sense.
That makes no sense. Make it make sense to me. And here's the thing: you can't make it make sense to me because it's just fucking stupid. It's what it is. But here we are. It's TNA. This is kind of their MO now. That's what they do. Let's talk about GCW from this past weekend. They had two big shows here in the Midwest. Of course, there was no Compadre, which took place on Saturday night there in Chicago, and last night they were in. Pretty much it's more or less kind of a Missouri, but it was technically Illinois. But Effie, my gosh, a tale of two nights, like successfully defending the GCW championship against Microman, and then successfully defending it against Dr. Redacted, which that was a brutal matchup. There was a lot of violence over this weekend, dude.
The Effie and Microman match was highly entertaining.
Oh yes, very much so. If you love death matches, my God, you got some great ones this past weekend. How cool was it too? I was so excited for this. I marked out Mickey Knuckles making her GCW. I believe it was her GCW debut. In that brutal death match from No Compadre. I mean, good God, I don't know if you follow her on social media, but shit, she was fucked up. But solid shows, but very sad news coming out this past weekend from GCW. We do have new GCW tag team champions as Violence is Forever jumped our good friend Cole Bradrick. And thus they lost the championships. But even sadder than that, our good buddy Cole is going to be out of action for the next 6 to 7 months. He's having surgery this Thursday, torn MCL. You hate to hear it, man. I know Cole, we know him personally. He's busted his ass to get back where he was. I mean, and he was killing it. Had a great run there as the tag team, as a tag team with the Garbage Daddies. They were knocking it out of the park. He's going to come back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Like the momentum that Cole had, like the people, once you meet him, you know, like he's just a genuinely good person, a good dude. We love him dearly. He's one of our closest friends. And you can go help Cole by going to his GoFundMe. There's a GoFundMe to help support Cole during his road to recovery. Because here's the thing, folks, it's keeping it real with you, keeping it 100. And Clay says hi because he loves Cole too, don't you? Yeah, you love Cole. Yep. The thing is, it sucks for Cole because in real life, like he had just this injury happen and he just lost his insurance because he lost his job, unfortunately. So, you know, in this day and age, especially with medical bills and stuff, like he's going to need all the help he can get. So even if you can't donate, if you could just share with people, let people know, spread the word to help the Ratty Daddy, because he is one of the fastest rising stars in all pro wrestling. And when he gets back from this, I mean, his career is just going to skyrocket even more. But if you can, please help our good friend Cole Radrick by going to support his GoFundMe. And, you know, that's one of the great things about indie wrestling is like you get to see so many great performers and you get to also become friends with them too in certain circumstances. So speaking of indie wrestling, it's that time in the show where we go to our good friend, Michael J. Duplessis, who has an indie report for us and tells us about some of the shows you could be watching in your neck of the woods. So let's go to Michael.
What up, y'all? It's boy MJ Duplessis, the Wrestling Encyclopedia, with another independent wrestling event report. First off, Glory Pro Wrestling presents Road Warrior Cup 2, May 25th. Doors open at 2 p.m., bells at 3. This will be at the South Broadway Athletic Club, 2301 57th Street, St. Louis, Missouri. gloryprowrestling.com for tickets and information. Secondly, we have Chicago Style Wrestling presents Nowhere Generation, May 16th at 2 Conti Parkway, Elmwood Park, Illinois. Doors at 6:30, bell is at 7:30. Buytickets.at/Chicago Style Wrestling for tickets and information to that. Lastly, we have Action Coast Wrestling presents Leg Drops, Friday, May 16th, 7 p.m. Eventbrite.com/Action Coast Wrestling for tickets and information on that. Y'all have a good day.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate you, brother. And like we say, always go support your independent wrestling. Well, this past week, the 6th season of Dark Side of the Ring debuted with their Hell in a Cell episode. Talking a lot about Mick Foley. It was a pretty good episode. I'm excited for this season. This next episode is going to be crazy because it's talking about Ludwig Borga. And folks, if you know, you know. Holy shit, that's going to be an interesting one. But the Vice, they always put out some very good, very interesting episodes, I think, of Dark Side of the Ring. Some of them are hard to watch just because, it is what it is. But nonetheless, the season has begun and is underway. Let's talk about this. The latest addition to Busted Open Radio is one Tom Petstock, a.k.a. Bishop Dyer, a.k.a. the former Baron Corbin. Yes, I drew a brain fart there for a second. So he's the latest to join. You know what the thing is Baron, a lot of people shit on him. But I think the true diehard fan was still kind of a fan of him for what he was doing. It's cool to see him in these new lights, I think, because it just shows you how knowledgeable he is of the world of wrestling. He's a good dude. So I'm excited to hear him on Busted Open. So speaking of Busted Open, Mark Henry recently announced that he has officially signed a Legends deal with the WWE. So he's back in the WWE fold. I think that's where Mark belongs, man. I mean, he is a WWE diehard through and through. So makes perfect sense to have the world's strongest man in the WWE family. Speaking of WWE as well, we got to talk about this. There's a new ring announcer, Mark Davis, or actually Mark Schunock, made his SmackDown ring announcing debut. Of course, he comes from the world of sports. I believe he was a hockey announcer before this. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. He's got some big shoes to fill there on Friday nights, but I'm sure that he will do a great job. And speaking of former ring announcers, Samantha Irvin and Ricochet officially got married this past week. Congratulations to both of you. Ricochet, you are one lucky son of a bitch. I'm just going to say, especially when you wear this goofy ensemble. But anyways, Ricochet and Samantha Irving are now official. Congratulations to them. We here at PW60, we want to wish them the best. Well, speaking of wishing people the best, kind of wondering how Spicy's doing, because if you've been following the show the past couple of weeks, he got stranded in his car. I hope he's okay. So let's go to our good friend Spicy Guac.
Did we send help?
Spicy take. We did send some help. We sent AAA. So let's just hopefully everything's okay. But let's go to Spicy with the Spicy take.
I have now gone on foot for help. Speaking of feet, Shawn Michaels does not have the best super kick in the game. Still belongs to Lance Storm. I don't care. Fight me.
If only you had stayed there. They were coming to get you, Spicy. Well, we hope Spicy gets somewhere safe here really soon, as this has been going on for like literally 3 weeks now. But totally agree with what he said. Saraya, we talked about her earlier. Well, one of her things she's got going on, she just recently released her autobiography, Saraya, Hell in Boots, Clawing My Way Through 9 Lives. So you can get that in all major bookstores. And speaking of wrestlers releasing books, Karrion Kross released his own autobiography, Life is Fighting. Exciting to see both these books. I think are must reads. And I can't wait to see him. But Karrion Kross, man, he has been a busy cat outside of the WWE. Also, he's got a movie that he co-stars that will be debuting on April the 8th, I believe. And the name of the movie is Blue Evening. It's kind of an interesting, or April 18th, I apologize. It's an interesting premise behind this movie because essentially it's about this homeless guy who's an addict who ends up finding like this rare artifact and like it's worth millions of dollars. Kieran's kind of like in a role that's like he's his sponsor or something like that, as far as like staying clean and stuff. It looks like an interesting movie. Not something you would expect from Karrion Kross. If I was talking a Karrion Kross film, I would be thinking the next Terrifier or something. But pretty cool to see nonetheless, man. He's such a talented dude. Love us some Karrion Kross. So I can't wait to see this movie. Oh, we got to talk about this. This past week, a clip with Chris Jericho getting in an argument with a 9-year-old has officially went viral. But this 9-year-old has got the greatest set of abs I think I've ever seen on a kid. Like, holy shit. Like, how'd you get those abs, kid, from working out? This exchange was fucking great. It's like some of the best. It's like the best thing they've done on like Ring of Honor probably in a year. Sorry, Athena. Love you, but we never get to see you. But nonetheless, even though I don't think this was Ring of Honor, I think it was Collision or something. But this was freaking hilarious. If you haven't done so, go back and watch the clip. It's freaking hilarious. This is random. DDP, once again, our savior DDP, who's the sweetest and kindest man in the entire world. He is helping out Michael Bauer, the actor. Now, if you don't recognize this face, you must not have been a kid growing up in the 90s. Because, yes, that is, in fact, Donkey Lips from Salute Your Shorts. DDP is helping Donkey Lips lose weight with DDPY.
DDP reaches everywhere.
He
Touches
does.
everyone.
So, just to recap here, Saraya and Karrion have released books. Karrion's done a movie. Chris Jericho got into it with a 9-year-old. And DDP is helping Donkey Lips. It doesn't get any more random than that, or does it? Let's go to Brian with Brian's Random of the Week here on PW60.
That's right. Time again. I'm not Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. My nose is itching, and apparently I made a mark on it. That's okay. I'll be fine. Don't worry, I'll survive. Yes, time again for my random moment of the week. Ooh, fancy graphic if I have the hat, but I don't. So like I can superimpose something, but that takes like stuff, time, whatever. Anyway, here we go. So, WrestleMania. Yes, we're looking at that coming up here in just a few weeks. And until then, we're going to continue the What If series, focusing on WrestleManias of the past, whether it be the early WrestleManias or even the most recent. And thinking about one of the matchups that's big this year, now confirmed to be main event of night one, is the triple threat with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. And this come to mind a few weeks ago, and how fitting, how apropos, now that that is officially a match made for Mania this year, is a match that could have happened and really should have happened. Probably, I would say WrestleMania 31 would have been the perfect time for it if you were to have it at WrestleMania, and that would have been the Shield Triple Threat. Now, obviously, 2/3 of that Shield Triple Threat will be happening with this year's main event, as mentioned. Plus, in storyline, it does fit in because, again, Punk being the one who, in storyline, was the one who brought in the Shield in 2012. So it is kind of tying up some loose ends. But we never truly got to have, at Mania, the actual Shield Triple Threat. So, what if WrestleMania 31, instead of Lesnar and Reigns for the title, let's say Roman had the title, or any of the three, and we had the Shield Triple Threat. So, who do you have as going in as champion, walking out as champion? And how massive, if they would have played it up right, could that have been? So comment below. Have yourself a great week as we look forward to a WrestleMania and everything with it.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. We love you, sir. We appreciate it. And he brings up a good point. Leave us some comments. Let's know what you think if there would have been a Shield Triple Threat at WrestleMania 31. Because I can tell you this year, it's probably the closest you're ever going to get to a Shield Triple Threat at WrestleMania. I'm just saying. Well, You know who else we love here at PW60? We love our wrestling content creators. And this week, our Ruby Ringside Wrestling Content Creator of the Week is none other than WWE Sophia. Now, she is, of course, a mother and a wife, first and foremost, but a huge WWE fan, as well as a Lord of the Rings fan as well. So, if you're not following her, go give her a follow, because she is our Ruby Ringside Wrestling Content Creator of the Week, is one WWE Sophia. Now, this week it was announced that Ring of Honor's Super Card of Honor will be taking place this Friday, May the 2nd. This Friday, not this Friday, upcoming Friday, May the 2nd, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Kind of a different pace of things for Ring of Honor, because typically speaking, Super Card of Honor has always been held WrestleMania weekend. I think the fact of the matter is it's so saturated with so many other different wrestling shows going on at the same time, and with everything that WWE's doing, I honestly think this is a smart move to just move it. I know there's some hardcore enthusiasts who are used to wanting to see the ROH shows on WrestleMania weekend, but I mean, I think Tony Khan is trying to do his best to kind of just not really be involved with anything WWE related, which makes sense to me. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay with the move. But it'll be coming to you on Friday, May 2nd from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Also, this past week, it was announced that WWE will be having the WrestleMania After Dark shows. Now, these shows will start on Thursday. Of course, they will be held at the hotel there in Vegas, which I am completely drawing a blank. The official WWE hotel, same place where they'll be having the Hall of Fame as well as the WrestleMania roast. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there will be all sorts of different entertainment going on, man. I'm telling you, this WrestleMania week is loaded with so much stuff going on in between that, the Hall of Fame, Undertaker's show, SmackDown, NXT, Raw, WrestleMania itself, WWE World. I mean, WWE is all over the place in Las Vegas coming up here in a couple of weeks. Also, news came out this week that WWE is getting closer and closer to hosting the Evolution pay-per-view, which is the all-women's pay-per-view, if you do remember from a couple of years ago. They are eyeing a potential July date, and it looks like that show could be held in Connecticut. So we will wait and see on that. And our last story this week, Orlando has officially put in a bid to host WrestleMania. Of course, this is kind of similar to the deal that WWE did with Indianapolis, where Orlando would be hosting several WWE events, including a WrestleMania. Also a deal as well to strike with TKO to where they would also host UFC events as well. B-roll, I think this is going to be kind of the new norm, don't you think? That just these big cities are going to be putting in bids for not only WrestleMania, for just like all these multiple events that bring in so much revenue to each of these cities.
Yes, I think so, especially when you look at the TKO group now with everything they have to offer. But I'm going to say this, Orlando. You wait your turn. You get in line, all right? Indianapolis did it first.
That's right.
Don't think you're going to come in here and get WrestleMania before us.
And it's not like they've never hosted one before.
Just because you're Orlando and you have Disney World and Universal Studios and
Get the back of the line, you Harry Potter bitches. Sorry, I said what I said.
Exactly.
Don't tell your wife I said that.
My wife would be ashamed.
Well, somehow this week's Raw didn't get spoiled for us. So, yeah, we're going to go watch that right now. But thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Cole TV on Pro Wrestling 60, as we're on the road to WrestleMania and the road to Dynasty, which will take place this Sunday. So join us next week for another live episode where we're going to recap everything that happened this past week, including all the stuff that goes down at Dynasty. I'm Xlj the Og. He's Mr. B-Roll. We'll see you next week on another episode of PW60. Everybody take care. Bye.